Do you know the story about the man who turned his best friend into a dog?
How does someone turn their best friend into a dog?
So the story starts out with this man named Christian, and he's on Tinder, and he's scrolling through Tinder, and he sees this girl named Sigrid, and he's super intrigued by her, so he super likes her. And then after he gets off of Tinder, he goes and helps his dog, brushes his dog's teeth, and when it's time for bed, his dog sleeps on the floor. So Christian decides to go on Tinder again, and he sees that Sigrid actually matched with him. So now Christian decides to message Sigrid and just says hi. And then the next morning, he opens up Tinder, and he sees that Sigrid actually responded back to him, and that they should hang out together. So obviously Christian's super happy that this girl matched with him and agreed to hang out. So Christian gets ready and heads to this restaurant to meet with Sigrid. So when he gets to the restaurant, he sits down and he's waiting for Sigrid to come to the restaurant. But he sits there, the waiter comes, and Sigrid is nowhere to be found. And finally, after waiting for a long time, Sigrid finally arrives. So Christian and Sigrid, they both sit down, they're talking, they're having a great time. Hours go by and they really hit it off. And Christian asks Sigrid, do you want to come back to my house? And she agrees to go.
Okay, if this is supposed to be a scary movie, this is off to a pretty normal start.
Yeah, so Sigrid goes to the house. She absolutely loves the home and tells Christian, like, this is one of the most beautiful homes she's ever seen. And they sit down on the couch together and they just keep talking. They're having a great time. Sigrid ends up staying the night, but the next morning, Sigrid wakes up and at the edge of the bed, it's Christian's dog named Frank, and he's panting at the bed. Sigrid absolutely freaks out when she sees the dog, runs out of the house, and is just in utter shock. Gets in the car and heads to meet her friend, and she's just shocked what she saw. And she tells her friend, like, you will not believe how weird this is. This man that I met on Tinder has this dog that doesn't look like a dog, but he keeps this dog in his house. So the friend tells Sigrid, like, hey, you better be careful. This sounds like a really weird situation. You better not talk to him. You better not see him again. But Sigrid can't help herself. So she calls Christian, says, hey, I want to see you again. I miss you. Christian agrees to pick her up. He brings her back to his house. And Christian tells her, like, hey, I know it's a little weird about Frank, but just know that Frank, he actually wants to be my dog, and that's his choice. Christian tells Sigrid that please treat Frank like a dog because that's his wishes. So Sigrid, trying to be respectful, she wants to try to play and pet Frank. So she starts trying to pet Frank, and all of a sudden, Frank starts getting too close to her and starts touching her, and she starts to get really uncomfortable. So Sigrid screams. So all of a sudden, Christian runs into the room and yells at Frank for doing that and literally tells him, like, you better stop.
So Frank is a human pretending to be a dog.
Yeah, so Christian reveals that when he was growing up as a kid, no one wanted to be his friend. They only wanted to be his friend because his family had money. But Frank was the only friend he had that loved Christian, not because he had money. So Sigrid has compassion towards Christian and stays the night again. But at night, you see how Frank watches Sigrid as she sleeps. So the next day, Christian surprises Sigrid and Frank with a trip to his other home. And his other home is in the woods, and it's a really nice home. But when they get to the house, Christian asks Sigrid, like, hey, I would like to have your phone because I want to keep it with me because I don't want any distractions for you. He tells her, we'll have a great time at the home. Just give me your phone. So she gives him the phone. He literally grabs the phone and runs and hides it.
Why would she give him her phone?
Yeah, but get this. So that night, they're all hanging out in the living room, and then all of a sudden, Christian gets up and leaves the room. And all of a sudden, Frank runs over to Sigrid, and he takes off his dog mask and says to Sigrid, please help me. Like, Christian is going to kill them both. All of a sudden, Christian walks back into the room, and Sigrid is just in shock. She doesn't know what to do, so she tells Christian, like, hey, I'm so tired. I need to go to my bed. I need to rest. So in the middle of the night, Sigrid wakes up, and she tries to be really quiet, and she leaves her bed, and she starts to go downstairs. And she's trying to get out of here because she wants to escape. So as she's trying to open the door, it's locked, and she can't get out. But when she turns around, all of a sudden, Christian is right behind her and asks her, what are you doing? And she told Christian, like, hey, look, I just wanted to go outside. I just needed some air. And Christian told her, I lock the door every night so things can't come into my house, and things that are in my house can't leave. And he just kind of starts laughing like it's a joke.
Okay, she is so screwed.
So Christian agrees to go outside with Sigrid and go on a walk. And they both go outside to get some fresh air. And Sigrid is just so stressed out. It's making her sick. She then asks Christian, like, can I have my phone, please? And Christian says no. So Sigrid tells Christian, like, hey, I need to call my mom because my mom is sick. So Christian agrees to give her her phone, but she has to call her mom on speakerphone. So Sigrid calls her mom on speakerphone, and the mom answers. And Sigrid asks how she's doing, and she told Sigrid, I'm doing a lot better. So Sigrid hung up the phone, and right when she hung up the phone, Christian took the phone back from her. So later that day, Sigrid asked Christian, like, hey, can I take Frank on a walk? I kind of want to get to know him better and spend some quality time with him. Christian tells Sigrid, like, oh, of course, you could take him. Go ahead, go on a walk. So Sigrid goes on a walk with Frank, and when they get far enough, she asks Frank, what are we supposed to do to get out of here? How are we going to escape? But Frank is really scared and tells her, like, hey, you got to be quiet. He can hear us. So Sigrid tells Frank, like, hey, we can escape right now. Like, we're out. We can do this. And Frank's like, no, we can't. We can't leave. We can't leave right now. Frank tells her that if Christian catches us running away, he will torture us. So Frank tells Sigrid that the only way we're going to get out of this is if you attack Christian in the middle of the night when he's sleeping.
Dude, why don't they just run? They're out of the house.
So they both go back to the house, and Sigrid goes into the kitchen, secretly grabs the kitchen knife, and she takes the kitchen knife to her bedroom, and she puts the knife underneath her pillow. But right when Sigrid's about to leave the room, all of a sudden Christian walks into the room and says, hey, like, I want to change the bed sheets. Like, we need to redo the bed. But Sigrid's like, no, please let me do the bed. I'll do the bedding. And she literally is begging him to let her do the bed sheets. And after a lot of convincing, Christian's like, fine, go ahead, you can do it. So a couple hours go by, and all of a sudden Christian goes up to Sigrid and says, hey, we need to talk. Something's wrong with the bed. Sigrid is so worried at this moment because she knows that the knife is underneath her pillow, and she's so worried what Christian's about to say. So Sigrid just tells him, like, what's wrong with the bed? There's nothing wrong. Christian lashes out at her and gets really mad and says, how dare you make the bed like this? This is horrible. You need to redo this bed right now. And then like a psycho, he just starts laughing because he's making a joke to Sigrid, like, hey, I'm just joking. The bed's fine.
Dude, this guy's weird.
Yeah, so that night they have dinner and they're both sitting at the table, and all of a sudden Sigrid starts to feel really sick and she passes out at the table. So Christian grabs Sigrid, carries her up the stairs, and puts her in her bed. And a couple hours go by, and all of a sudden Sigrid wakes up and she reaches underneath her pillow and she can't find the kitchen knife. It's no longer there. So Sigrid is just panicking. She's sitting there. She's so worried because she knows that the knife is now taken away from her. And all of a sudden Christian walks in the room and says, hey, we need to talk. I need to show you something. So Christian takes her to sit down, and they both sit down and they start talking. And all of a sudden Christian pulls out this recording, and you hear Frank talking to Sigrid about how they're going to try to kill Christian in the middle of the night. And then all of a sudden Christian pulls out the kitchen knife. So Christian then takes Sigrid to see Frank, and he locked Frank up in this cage. And all of a sudden he starts trying to pet Frank, and then Frank bites him, and Frank and Christian start fighting each other. So while this is all happening, Sigrid grabs the keys to the house, runs out of the house, and this makes Christian really upset. So he grabs Frank, takes him to the barn, and starts beating him up even more. So while Christian and Frank are fighting, Sigrid is in the middle of the woods trying to find her way out, and she just can't. So she literally just grabs a stick and she runs back to the house.
She's going back with a stick.
Yeah, so she goes back to the house and she literally hits Christian with the stick, trying to help Frank to be able to escape. But when they turn around, all of a sudden Christian gets up and knocks them both out. And then all of a sudden the movie cuts. And the next morning you see Christian filling up a dog bowl with food. And then he takes the bowl of dog food and he gives it to Frank. And Frank is eating it. So then Christian then takes another bowl of dog food and he takes it to the barn. And all of a sudden when he opens the door, you see that Sigrid is now in a dog costume too, and he hands her the food. Sigrid starts eating the food like a dog, and he literally tells Sigrid, like, hey, if you're good, I'll let you sleep in the house the next night. Then you see Christian filling up another bowl of dog food, and then all of a sudden he puts the bowl down and he opens up a cage and he says, here's your food, son. And then the movie stops.
Okay, that has to be one of the worst endings to a movie ever.